Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The focus today has been on national security, as well it should be. That's one of our jobs around here. On the other hand, there's an opportunity cost of excluding talent that could be important in furthering our own interest in terms of technological development. Ms. Richmond, talk to me about that. It seems to me what we really need to do is try to find a path between total exclusion and not being cognizant of national security risks, but not exclude people who can make a significant contribution to our national welfare. You see what I'm trying to find?
Yes, so Senator King, thank you for that question. There are so many examples of where Chinese citizens have made, I'd be happy to give the committee many examples, especially of Chinese researchers who continue to contribute in our laboratories and also our universities. It is a balance. And particularly for our universities, we have, while I was undersecretary, we started the ARTES office, which is Research for Technology and Economic Security. And that is basically to make sure that we don't have things happen like happened in your administration, which would check everyone that's a PI going in for a grant. The FOA that goes out, it's checked to make sure that it's very clear that we're going to ask this kind of information when you apply for a grant. Then when the selections are made, look to see who the PIs are. Are they ones that are safe to go forward with? Is the topic one? What about the topic? Because the security for some topics.
But universities don't have the security clearance apparatus that the national labs have. I believe that there may be more risk, frankly, on the university level than there is at the national labs, because national labs, you have counterintelligence at Department of Energy, and you have those kinds of examinations.
And that's why we're working with them. And that's why we're sharing the risk matrix with them, as well as I was on a video call recently to talk about what they need to do in proposals and with their PIs to give them guidance on making sure.
Mr. DeBarber, how do you think we should strike this balance?
Yeah, so one of the orders that we also implemented was banning giving money to university researchers if they were also taking money under a 1,000 Talents program. We had found out that during the previous administration that they had allowed that, so that literally a researcher could be getting money from the Chinese state at the same time as from DOE. We decided that was a bad idea. We actually spent a bunch of time with university presidents explaining that. They had a lot of worry about that. And then at the end of the day, they reached a conclusion that the federal government can decide what to do with its money. I know it's a simple kind of conclusion. But one of the big things that they found as a part of our pushing on this topic was that they found out that they had researchers who were spending significant times in communist China and basically taking their research, had nothing to do with DOE, it could have been from any place. And they didn't even know it was happening. I found out at Stanford, for example, there was a professor who was supposedly full-time who spent 9 months a year in China. And the university didn't even realize it was going on, even though they were paying them that professor. So I think awareness with the university system that they need to address their own problems, but I do think additional controls around how the federal government money is given to PIs, so principal investigators.
Well, let's go back to the national labs.
Yeah.
Would if there's a total ban, no Chinese researchers whatsoever, is that a good policy, or would that cost us some good scientific breakthroughs that would otherwise be useful? I'm trying to find the right line between national security and opportunity cost of brilliant researchers from anywhere in the world.
I think, Senator, given that there's been literally a whole generation of successful efforts by Communist China on stealing stuff, the Los Alamos Club, then the 1,000 Talents, they keep coming at us. I think the better way of doing it is this proposed legislation from the Intel Committee that was referenced, which is a ban with Chinese nationals at the national labs, which are at the very highest level of the United States, with the ability of the department to do a waiver. And so there's flexibility.
So the default would be no.
Default should be no, is my recommendation, which was the Intel Committee's unanimous vote, with the ability of the department to grant waivers. So there is still flexibility in the idea, but once again, I think the DOE national labs are at the top of the security worries.
I understand. Quick follow-up question. Who is Chinese? There are a lot of Chinese Americans. Are they swept into this? What's the definition?
Yeah, so the way the orders are written is it's citizens.
Chinese citizens?
Citizens.
Okay, so a Chinese American who's been here 50 years or a couple of generations would not be included in this?
Citizens is the way that the order is currently written.
Okay, thank you.
Or Russians, or, I mean, we had an Iranian trying to get hired, like an Iranian citizen, and we had concerns on the type of technology, and we decided not to let them in.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.